Good evening, Chit Chat Radio, 410.com. Good evening, IG. As always, thank you for being a part of these Wednesdays. This is Logical Wellness. My name is Camille Jones of CEJ Images, and this is the show, good evening, y'all, that hopefully connects you back to logic, right? We've got a bunch that I want to talk about tonight. I will be answering questions from IG, y'all. So if you have questions, please let me know. Hopefully, I will get them all. For those of you streaming with us, as always, we go over if the information gets good. So make sure to step off the streaming networks after we're done at 8:30 and get on IG, especially if you have questions. Good evening, Ms. Denise Simon. Good evening. I see our affiliates on here. Cheryl's on here. Renee is on here. Good evening, y'all. I'm so excited you guys are there. Ayla, the Bratz Queen. Hello, gorgeous. So, y'all, we got some good stuff to say. I got anecdotal stuff tonight, right? Because I need y'all to, as much as I love us, we get on my nerves. Do you know that? Do you know how much, y'all, we are killing ourselves because we are not using our brains? And there are so many stories that I have just in the last week that evidence how we are not using that logic. And as a result, we are very sick, ill, and on a way to dying quickly. So I'm going to go over some things, right? And as always, for those of you all skeptics who I love, come on in the room. The more skeptics we get to, the better, right? So as always, I give y'all disclaimers every Wednesday. One, am I a doctor? Nope. Not my design. I'm a holistic health practitioner. We like to heal. They like to practice and treat. That's not me. The information that I give you comes from firsthand knowledge. It comes, one, from logic, two, from the results that I get with my clients and my clients get with me, and come from personal experiences. And if you can't speak from those spaces, then don't speak as if you know. So I'm not going to repeat things that I read in books, right? I'm going to talk about things that I see every day. And that's how I know, right? That's how I know. Ayla, I'm sorry you haven't been feeling well. That's because you ain't been to see me either. You know I moved back here, right? So come see me whenever. Tiffany, another affiliate, is on. Y'all, these healers that are on, y'all better get with them in whatever state that you're in, because we are in space of necessity right now. Everything about what's happening in our world is designed to keep us sick and kill us. You do know that, right? If we're talking about Bill Gates and the eggs and all, listen, there's so much crazy going on. And do you know how they can just push crazy and push crazy and push crazy in front of us all day long? Because we don't use this and we don't question. You do know that not opening your mouth because it's not attached to your brain is keeping many of you all sick in the hospital on meds and completely clueless to what they are shoving in your face. I'm talking even chemtrails. Y'all see them spraying the freaking chemtrails, and you still want to say, that's a commercial plane. Where you been for all your life? Like, we have to get it together. There is no function in the body without signals from the brain. If your brain is atrophying because you're not using it, and when I mean using it, I mean ask questions and make the answer to those questions line up in a straight line. Because if they don't, you need to get it out of your head. So there is no function in the body without signals from the head. If you are allowing your head to feed your body chaos, that is the definition of disease and illness, sickness, and then you all top it off with a bunch of narcotic medications that are killing your organ function, and you think you know something. I don't know about you, but I am tired of hearing about people dying. I am tired of them now trying to tell you that a 5-year-old can die of a heart condition. I am tired of hearing about people who weren't sick and now all of a sudden are sick because we simply are not asking the right questions for our own well-being. I am tired. And so the information that I hope to give you is information that, one, makes sense to you, or two, doesn't make sense to you, but encourages you to go out and study until things do make sense to you. And when I talk about making sense, I'm going to use some anecdotes this week that I heard from friends and clients that I think are absolutely insane, yet they are part of our culture's programming right now. And so I'm going to use them as examples of that programming and how programming is the opposite of logic. Programming is the opposite of logic. If you are programmed without the use of your brain, meaning asking questions, right? Meyer Higgins, good evening. We have to use that, right? We have to use the brain to think so that outside frequencies cannot affect the signals that we are sending to the body. And unfortunately, we are in Zombieville right now, where the majority of our country particularly is completely closed to brain function. And I am not saying that to be offensive. I'm saying that because it's true. And you need to hear it if you want to have a good quality of life on this planet, particularly in this country. And so when I speak about what is happening in this country, these are not things that you can't go find information on your own if you choose to do that. We simply just don't choose to do that because the programming says don't do that, right? The programming says that's a conspiracy theory. You know what conspiracy theory comes from? In the 50s, when people were questioning the government about how JFK died, they were like, uh-oh, let's change that information. And the CIA took that term and made it reference anything, any people, any idea that goes against the government. Yeah, that's me, and hopefully you, and hopefully everybody else. For this simple fact, do we not know how this country was founded? This country's never had what we hope to be a wellness conscience. You think they've changed since the creation of this? This is actually the way America was founded. All you got to go do is read a history book, right? So if it was founded on that, and it was founded on the ideas of this is a corporation for the 1% and it's meant to be what it is, do we actually think that over the years their conscience has changed? Or do we think they've just gotten better at the programming? They've just gotten better at the programming. That's all. It's still the same country that killed, raped, maimed, stole to become a country, right? But we're a business first. We're a corporation first. Don't forget that. So when I give information, I want people to understand information based on fact. Based on fact. And the fact that no matter what you may think right now, it doesn't change the course of history. Doesn't change. It may change the story. It doesn't change what actually was. So when I talk about being open to your own frequency and being able to ask questions and encouraging you to ask questions, that's to save your life. That's not just to be funny. That's not meant for you to think that I am talking down about you. I include myself in everything when I say us. We are a collective energy. So I'm not talking down to people. I am simply speaking, hopefully in a way that is clear enough to you to be able to do what you need to do for you. instead of following trends and people who aren't you and people who don't know about you. Nobody knows more about you than you do. No, I don't care who they are. Nobody on the planet. And that's a power, y'all. So I need y'all. I want to go into some of the things that I was told this week. And I want to point out how incredibly illogical things are. And I'm not going to use names, even though I got permission to do so. April Cordman. Hello, love. I want to tell y'all some stories, and I want to use them to indicate and point to how sleep we are. And when I say sleep, I mean illogical. Because if your brain synapses aren't firing, you're essentially asleep, right? Right. So I would like us all, okay, if I can ask this, I would like us all to take into account what we see and experience and not what we hear just in the atmosphere. I need you all to understand that what you are looking at and seeing, even if it contradicts what you've been programmed through here, if you are seeing it, it is. If it is happening, it is. I don't care what they repeat to you over and over and over and over and over. If it contradicts what you are actually seeing and experiencing, then what you are seeing is true. And that goes for everybody. Patrice, good evening. Another affiliate, y'all. Oh, before I forget, the July class has been posted because March is sold out. July is already half full. So those of you who have asked about July, you better go on and reserve your spot because there are only 3 spots, maybe 4 spots, 4 spots left, or maybe 3. I don't know, one of those. So we're gonna, I want you all to stop letting your programming make you not see what's right in front of you. Okay. And we could talk about this whole 2-3 years, and I'm going to reference a little bit of that, but I want to use a story that one of my clients told me. So last week, someone was on my live and they asked about high blood pressure. And I said to that person, all you have to do is take your knuckles and massage behind the filters of the ears. I don't say that because I'm guessing. I don't say that because it sounds good to say. I say that because logically, if you simply look at a picture of the lymph system, you know where it starts. And if you understand that blood cannot regulate in the body without oxygen, that's logic. Then when we're talking about a blood disorder like high blood pressure, that you can't talk about it without the connection to what makes it flow, which is oxygen, right? And if oxygen starts filtering through the lymph system in and behind the ears, then opening those filters should logically affect the regulation of the blood if the blood needs oxygen to regulate itself evenly. Yes, that's logic, right? That's Camille logic. That's what I would do. You start at the problem and then you back up to the cause. That's what logic is, right? So I told her, yes, I can. I will do that in a second. I will demonstrate again. Somebody asked me to demonstrate again. So I said to the client, tell your husband, and this doesn't take me. I had never even met this person before when I told her what to do to her husband. Didn't know their history, didn't know either one of them from Adam or Eve. I simply told them what to do, right? But because we are our own doctors with the same system that everybody has that's designed to regulate itself, I can show one person what to do and it will work for everybody because you are the one who are doing it to you. Yeah. And when you use things that are innate for healing in the body, it doesn't take a doctor. It don't take nothing else but you. So for those of you who are streaming with us, I'm going to describe this to you for IG. You can see it. It's a very simple thing to do. Okay. You're going to make a fist like you're fighting, right? Thumb on the outside. You're going to turn your knuckles vertically. You're going to turn your fist vertically so the thumbs are out. You're going to line your fingers up behind your earlobe from the top to the bottom. Yeah. And first of all you have to do right now is actually push in between your head, and half of y'all on this show right now are going to begin to breathe better simply by one push. But I tell people, because we are vibrational frequency takes some sort of percussion. So you simply take your fists and rub in circles behind your earlobe. And if you are doing this in a mirror, you are watching your face change as you do this. And you could do it for 5 circles. You could do it for 10 circles. You could do it for however long you need. Those of you who are diagnosed with what they call high blood pressure, your numbers will come down instantaneously if you take your blood pressure first and then take your blood pressure after. But our problem is we don't ever want to put in the work. You know why? Because we'd rather be told. You know why? Because programming causes us not to use the brain. So we are more comfortable being told what to do, irregardless of what it's actually going to do to our bodies, instead of trying something that takes 2 seconds and is immediate in its results. That's stupid human shit right there, if you ask me. All you got to do is try it. And if you try it and it works, and it takes you 2 seconds, but you choose to spend the rest of your life killing your organs with narcotic medications because you're being told, what do I say? You are a zombie. Because zombies have no logic. That's the whole point of being a zombie. They are programmed by whatever their stimulus is. And clearly it ain't their brain. That's a zombie. So if you choose not to try things that not only that you hear work, but that you can try and prove to yourself, you choosing not to do that is insane. It's insane. And it's exactly the reason that we are where we are. It's exactly the reason why Big Pharma runs this country. You want to know who runs the government? Big Pharma. They run everything. It's money. And you know who pays them that money? We do. We do. We pay them to run the country into the ground and kill us. We pay them for that. And then we complain that they're making us sick. And the only way we have to change that is the greatest way. We stop spending the money. When I say that things are meant to be logical, logic is oftentimes meant to be easy, because one thing makes sense with the next thing, with the next thing, you're welcome, with the next thing and the next thing, right? That's what logic is, which means there shouldn't be any strife or anxiety because you're trying to make your dots match in a zigzag and not a straight line. So all we have to do is take pieces of information. Lizette is on too, another affiliate. Good evening, love. All we have to do is take pieces of information and make those things make sense. But if you're programmed, you don't have the capability to make things make sense because ridiculous makes sense to you. So let me go back to this story, right? So I taught the client last week how to do what I just taught you, right? And so she comes into me for her first visit and she says, Camille, I told my husband, I did what you told me to do on my husband behind his ears. And I said, great, did it work? And let me tell you what she said. And if you're on, and I'm not going to say your name, I hope your husband's on too, because I'm talking to you, sir. She said that his numbers went down in less than 10 minutes, almost 60 points from like 178 or something down to 118, right? Simply by massaging the sinus cavities. Yet she says to him, she says, I said, well, was he excited about that? And do you know what she said to me? She said that he literally tried to argue with her that the reason the numbers went down was that he was sitting in another position. Oh no, that can't be right. That can't be right. That's because my arm was up here. Or my arm was up. She did it multiple times. And he tried to argue her down off of what he actually saw with his own eyes. Why? Because he is programmed to think that the body is not meant to respond and heal instantaneously. Well, the body was created to never be sick. So the way that he healed in that instance is normalcy in the body. Stop letting them program you out of that knowledge. That's the way the body's supposed to, that's the way the body is supposed to behave. What happens when people come see CEJ images, people? They heal like that because that's the way the body was supposed to perform. And it's all the stuff that y'all keep putting in it that stops that performance. You all are literally talking yourselves out of your own healing because you see and experience your healing and then deny it. What is the matter with you? Like, where is the desire to be sick all the time? Jesus, if you've been on meds most of your life and have never had a resolution in the numbers of your blood pressure, and you do one thing one time that absolutely works, and you want to talk that down, you want to comment another affiliate, Nick, and you want to talk yourself out of what you're actually experiencing, because our lives have been told to us our whole lives that the body is meant to break down. But we're listening to humans who have no idea how the body was created in the first place. So you are actually going to take what when you're in that zombie space, when you're programmed, that's what happens. You see and experience benefit, yet your programming has told you something different. And that is deadly, y'all. That is deadly. That is killing you. That is literally taking the power that runs the energy of your life on the inside, and it is stomping it into the ground while it was trying to help you. That's what the body was meant to do. The body wasn't meant to break down. Why would a creator, whoever or whatever you call that creator, create something in perfection outside of the understanding of the human mind and make something that breaks down and gets sick? So many of us are scared of symptoms. And symptoms are the greatest indicator in the world. Symptoms are evidence of our superpower. We have a body that we cannot see on the inside. We have a system on the inside that we cannot see and we cannot examine, because the minute you cut it open, you change that functionality. We have a body, a soul, and energy on the inside that is so perfect. As soon as it comes out of that perfection, it will give you a signal. It will give you a sign. But because low vibrating humans have said that signs and symptoms are bad things, then we allow fear to overshadow our freaking spirit power. And so many of you go and you allow your human doctors to put you on narcotics that literally separate you from your power. Insane. Crazy to me, crazy. Because that's what happens. The body is meant to signal you, right? All of the function is wrapped inside of the skin in the body. So because we can't see inside the system, then it has to give us signals to tell us what's happening. And it's a very easy logical system, logical lymph system. Everybody has a lymph system. You would not be born without it. You couldn't function without it. You can function without certain organs and limbs, but you can't function without that, right? Because there is no function without the lymph system. But instead of people investigating or asking questions or even freaking Googling, right? Y'all want to sit on IG all day, TikTok, watch people twerk and do ignorant, stupid shit. But you won't Google, or you won't take 5 minutes to simply Google a question that's going to help save your life. That is zombiehood. That's what a zombie is. That's what a zombie is. I don't care what you say. I am not officially saying, oh yeah, you're a zombie. What I'm saying is you have been programmed into that zombie hood, right? And in order to live, you better get out of it. You better get out of it. You better get out of it, because what they are now doing to the stuff that you are calling food, you think the jab was bad? They putting the jab on steroids in the livestock that y'all continue to eat. If you don't understand how to balance your body, because remember this, the body was created in perfection. The lymph system was meant to run 24/7 to balance the body. If you keep putting things in your body that take that balance out of its balance, you will keep yourself ill and you won't be able to come back. And that's real, right? But you can come back like that if you understand the body. And I say that because I see it. And I see it every day. You ask any of the 21 other LFD specialists around the world, they'll say the same thing. Humans said this was going to kill me and that I would never get better. They come to us, the body doesn't say that, because we understand what the body is on the inside, I'm saying, not the actual outer body, but the inside, the functionality of the body is energy. It is energy. And that's something else we're going to talk about tonight too, because y'all like to read. Let me not say that, because you don't like to read. We like to look at things for 3 minutes on a video and be like, oh my God, Camille, is this real? Well, did you go investigate it? Did you go ask the questions that you needed to ask to make that line up in a straight line? No, you just, took it, right? And said, oh, this must be true because it's trending. You know what the word trend means to me? Zombie. It means that there is something that is happening that all of these little sheep will want to follow, because being a sheep disconnects you from using your own logic, right? And what is it that saves your body? The logic of your mind. But if you are a sheeple and you're just going because all of these other people have used it, anything that millions of people have used, I'm not using, because ain't none of those people me. And nothing that is created, manufactured, mass manufactured, is beneficial for the individual. Don't you get that? Because we are the individual. We want to be the individual when it's cute, and we want to be the only one that has, maybe a certain outfit on. But everywhere else, we're a sheeple, right? We're a sheep. We don't ask who, what, when, why, how, where. We don't ask any of those, right? Because they took that out of school. Yeah. I actually think my generation was like one of the last generations to actually learn things in school. And we didn't even learn things that we would use as adults. We learned what they indoctrinated us with, and only some of it was true. But now they ain't teaching y'all youngsters nothing. They're not even teaching you how to use your own imagination or connect your own dots. Zombiehood. So I need us to remember the individuality that we are, and the fact that there is no person on this planet that can or does know us better than we do. Impossibility. It isn't the case. I don't care if you're a twin. Twins are not the same person. Humans can clone us all day, but you cannot recreate a human. You're creating robots, but you cannot recreate a human. So I thought that was very, very interesting to tell you all, because I want you all to stop doubting what you're actually seeing because your programming says different. My God, so many of y'all wouldn't be sick right now and wouldn't be on meds if you actually just ask questions for your own individuality, not because you're reading for the masses. You aren't the masses. And there's no test on this planet, right? All these clinical trials that these freaking big pharma likes to talk about, none of them are ever big enough. And they're never a big enough sampling for a planet that is made of billions of people. That's just stupid. But y'all like to run and say, oh, this was clinically tested by what? A study of 1,000 people? You know how many people live on this earth? You know how many of you there are, though? Just one. Just one, which means your symptoms are always going to be your own. Your causes are always going to be your own. Your fix is always going to be your own. But what I need you to do is stop allowing the programming to make fear supersede your logic. If you are seeing or experiencing things that are making you better, then why do you not continue them? What? And you know what it is? It's fear. You know that your narcotic medication is going to make you sick, and it makes you sick. But herbs make you better. But you going to run back to your doctor and make sure that your herbs are working. How the hell does he know or she know? The only person that knows is you, and all they're going to do is ask you. So stop doubting yourself. Yourself is the only one that can fix you. And you know how the body and the energy lets you know that it fixes you. You feel better. So if you feel freaking better, then understand what that means. That means that what you just did is beneficial for your body. And the things that you've been doing over years, which haven't made you better, are not beneficial to your body. It's not hard, y'all. It is literally the easiest thing in the world to stay well if you're using your brain to understand that. If you are programmed out of that and you are allowing the toxic low vibration of the news and social media makes me want to vomit most of the day long. And if I didn't do things like this, I wouldn't be on it. Like, it's freaking depressing, right? It's freaking depressing. So those things, if those are the things that you're watching without it encouraging you to ask questions, you're stuck. You literally are stuck, which means you can't get better. Getting better means you're progressing and you're moving forward. But if you're stuck, you're not moving. You're not moving at all, which means you're not getting better, right? So I want y'all to know that about blood pressure. And if any of y'all just did that exercise I told you to do and it worked, let me know too. All right. So I have another little anecdote, which I thought was very important to tell you all because a lot of you are there. So I have a client, love this client, but she admits oftentimes that she's a hypochondriac, right? So I want to explain what happened with her. And I want y'all to listen because a lot of you go through this and it is only fear. But the fear is taking you out of your logical space and it's making you acknowledge and accept that things are wrong when nothing was wrong in the first place. So her husband got her one of those, one of the new watches that did what the Fitbit used to do, right? And it used to, it monitors your sleep and it monitors your REM sleep and all this other stuff, and it takes your vitals and all this stuff, right? Sweets. What's up, D? So she calls me and she says, "Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it. As are you." So she calls me and she says, "Hey, I called you first because I have a question. And so let me say this, let me give this to her. I love her for coming to me first. I would very much appreciate people coming to me first as opposed to running to their doctor, because oftentimes I can help lead you back to your logic, right? And you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense." So she calls me and says, "So I wanted to ask you a question first before I go get this sleep study." And I was like, "What?" I said, "What?" She said, "Well, when I go to sleep at night, my O2 levels go down, but my husband's never go down." And I said, "Well, what do they go down to?" And she was like, "Well, they go down to about 80%. So when you're talking about O2 levels, you normally want to keep your O2 level between 97 to 100%. Some places will say 95, but if you understand no virus can live in oxygen, you want to be minimally at 97%, if not 100. So she says, it goes down to 80 at night. And I said, well, does it come back up in the morning? And she said, yeah. And then I said, well, do you feel rested when you get up in the morning? Yeah, I do. I said, do you have a headache or feel dehydrated when you wake up? And she was like, no. I said, so why would you want to go get a sleep study? And she said, because my husband's never goes down. So let me go to this first and explain the differences between men and women. One thing that men have is testosterone, right? So testosterone stimulates lymph function in a different way than estrogen does for women. 2, women have boobs. We have breasts, y'all. And breasts, what? Sit on top of the lungs, right? And because they're lymph vessels in the breast, because they're lymph vessels, then if they get swollen and swell with water, then that affects how much we can breathe. But when we go to sleep, what do? We sleep on our side sometimes, and sometimes we sleep on our face. And so if you're a guy, it is naturally logical that your sleep patterns are going to be different from females for that reason alone. And then I said to her, well, you do wear a watch on your arm, right? And what do most people do when they're asleep? They sleep in different positions, sometimes with the arm behind their head, sometimes with the arm underneath their ear, sometimes they sleep on their chest. And she was like, oh, yeah, sometimes I do wake up and my hands are asleep. Hello, when you feel pins and needles in your hands or your feet, that is an indicator, remember, a signal from the lymphs that there is too much fluid around the vessels and there's not enough oxygen. So what would that do if your hands have pins and needles to an O2 level on a watch? It would make it go down. But the most important thing is, oh, hey, Miss Houghton. Thank you, Vandy. Because listen, IG loves to trip when I'm teaching. Remember that? They, see what I'm saying? But anyway, so in this particular instance, her first idea, well, her second, because she called me first, which I love her for. So, but I still think she went and had a sleep study, but I don't want to ask her because I don't want to get mad. So we have to understand that we are using man's technology, because again, man didn't create the body, so man doesn't understand the body. So we're making tests that are only within our realm of knowledge, which is not a lot. Yet we're disconnecting ourselves from our power. So you're going to allow a watch to dictate what your body is doing. Remember, the lymph system acts in a fluid circle. It has its ebbs and flows of inflaming and then uninflaming. That's part of the ebb. That's an expectation. That's what happens, right? So then I said to her, so you wear your watch every night, right? But you're going to go to a clinic for one night and sleep in a very uncomfortable bed that is not your bed, with a very uncomfortable pillow, full of electromagnetic leads all over your head and your face, where you hear beeping all night, which means you're naturally not going to get into REM sleep, which means you going one night to be assessed by a clinic who doesn't take any of your entire life into account as a variable, is going to use that one night and that one test to tell you that that you are sick. Right? Because according to that one test and according to that night, you would be sick. However, what did your watch say? Which I don't even think you should listen to that either. You have to assess your own body. But your watch tells you every night that you may go down, but you come right back up, right? No symptoms. Remember, when I was young, we only went to the doctor if we were sick. You don't go to other humans to assess whether or not you feel good. What does your body say? God, how easy is that? And how hard do we make it? Why? Because your insurance company tells you you need to go get a check every month, every year? You're going to, okay, so here's the illogic to me. Many people will go and assess themselves in a 20-minute appointment, right? A 20-minute appointment. And let that be an assessment of your life when you live your life at home. You live your life every day. You know how you feel when you get up. You know how you feel when you go to bed. You know how you feel when you eat certain things. You know how you feel when you don't eat certain things. It's all about, though, whether you pay attention or not. Many of you miss all of the signs that would save your life because you're afraid of them. And you go to a person who is paid to diagnose a problem. They're not paid to tell you how to be well. They're paid to diagnose a problem. They were taught how to memorize symptoms so they could categorize them into problems. You are not a problem. You are a person, an individual person of whom there's no other anywhere on this planet. But you will take moments in your life and allow those moments to deem you sick forever. That is astonishing to me and very, 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 very scary. Okay? Very scary. So I need you all to stop, one, being afraid of a symptom and understanding that a symptom is always 100% of the time a signal. And it is a signal that your fluid system of the lymphs has stagnated in an area on or close to the point where you feel bad. And you don't need to, listen, do this on your own. Those of you who have pain, right? Those of you who have pain, I don't care where you have pain. I don't care where you have pain. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have pain, but I mean, it doesn't matter where the pain is. I need you to go and Google a picture of the lymph system. And I want you to look at where the lymph nodes are, right? Look at where the lymph nodes are around the place that you have pain. And if you have pain around those particular lymph nodes, according to the picture that you can Google, take your fist where those lymph nodes are and pound them, right? Pound them. Do, I don't know, 12 of these. Don't beat yourself, but you're creating a percussive ripple effect in your water, because if you are stagnant, all you need to do, like a rock in a lake, is throw the rock, create the ripple, empty the trash cans. And that's as simple as I can make that for you. And then assess, right? Then assess how you feel in those areas. And then you come back to me and tell me if that doesn't work, because I promise you it does, because I see it all the time, right? That's what I do. I see it, right? So I want to talk about one more thing, right, that has been completely and utterly ridiculous. And I want you all to use your logic to understand how stupid this is. So lots of people have been sending me this, and I get it, y'all. Y'all don't have to send it to me anymore, because I'm going to explain to you how stupid it is. So there is a video, I think that started on TikTok, that is kind of viral, where there's this guy talking about the radioactive mining of Himalayan salt. And that we should use Himalayan salt because of the radioactive properties in the salt. And I'm sorry, I'm laughing, because what I'm about to tell y'all, when you hear me say what I'm about to say, you're gonna be like, oh, that's so stupid. Yeah, it is. So there's this video that's telling people they need to stay away from Himalayan salt, right? Because when they mine the salt, there are these radioactive properties that come with mining it. So are you all listening to what I'm about to say to you? We are radioactive. Humans are energy on the inside, and energy is freaking radioactive. We are freaking radioactive beings. Duh. And if you don't believe me, here, look, I'm going to do this because I always show you all that I do what I want you all to do, so I could show you how easy. So I went and Googled, are humans radioactive? You know what Google says? Google says, yes, our bodies are naturally radioactive because we eat, drink, and breathe radioactive substances that are usually present in the environment or nature of what? Of which we are. We are nature. I cannot express to you how much that is the savior of your life. Okay, we are nature. We are that atmosphere outside. We are that energy surrounded by sodium chloride in the ocean. We are that same sodium chloride in our lymph water. So let me read that again. Sorry, I got distracted. Yes, our bodies are naturally radioactive because we eat, drink, and breathe radioactive substances that are naturally present in the environment. They're called elements and minerals. These substances are absorbed by our bodies into our tissues, organs, and bones through the lymph system and are constantly replenished by ingestion and inhalation because oxygen balances minerals in the body. We are freaking radioactive. So of course, when you mine any gemstone, anything, any salt, any gemstone, anything in nature, that is all radioactive because it's energy, which is why things like 5G, 4G, microwaves, and all this other tech shit is killing us. EMF radiation is a stronghold or a chokehold to our natural EMF radioactive frequency. So of course, you're going to find radioactive elements in freaking Himalayan salt when you mine it, because we are the same mineral concentration, right? Y'all know about sea moss, right? Himalayan salt has the same amount, if not more, minerals than the sea moss does, which is why you could put it in your water every day and drink it if you have things like lymphedema, and the lymphedema will go away. It is the iodized salt that is what we need to stay away from. People who actually have what they call high blood pressure should put a pinch of salt, of Himalayan salt, in their water every day to balance out the minerals and keep the mucus thin so that your blood can regulate. But they have you scared. So this video, if you all have seen it, you also have to take the source into account. The guy who put this video together looks like he hasn't breathed clean air in a year. So you have to take the source into account when you read some of this. And then you have to take the information and then go and Google pieces of it so that you can back the information up into logical steps. Because if you can't, then it's not logical, right? It's not logical. It's just dumb. So we are radioactive. That's why you want to eat a raw diet, because raw diets are radioactive because they're natural and they balance the minerals in the natural body. Jesus, logic. It is logic. All that other stuff that they're telling you out there, all of that is deadly indoctrination, and you absolutely better not listen to it. Some of y'all are so focused on, the FDA hasn't approved that. You better do the opposite of everything the FDA says if you want to live. If you want to live, if you don't, if you want to stay zombified, that's fine. But if they approve it, don't do it. Because then they'll also come back in 20 years and tell you it killed you. Yeah, right. So, yes. So yeah, Marcia. Yeah. So you can put a very teeny Himalayan salt is very strong. You hear me? Our mineral salt water is very strong. God, it's like in nature and it's in us, right? The sea, the ocean is 0.4% sodium chloride. So are we, which means we have to move to keep the minerals moving. And if the minerals moving, we have high oxygen. If the ocean has the moon to create the wind, then the phytoplankton in the ocean can create the oxygen we need to breathe. So I need you to use a little Google information, right? Oh, great. Thank you, Dee Dee. Gorgeous Dee Dee says she started doing that and definitely notices the difference. See what I mean? It's the iodized salt, the white salt that you can't eat, right? The white salt. Why is that? Because if it is iodized, they've removed The minerals, which is the healing part, but minerals are color. So when they remove the minerals and then they bleach it, it becomes detrimental to your health. But Himalayan salt is you on the inside. So those of you who have high blood pressure should also cook with it, right? Because you need to balance out your minerals instead of taking more narcotics, which is stagnating your minerals. Yeah. So I went farther, right? And let me say this to you. Well, let me read this first and then I'll say what I need to say. So yes, our bodies are naturally radioactive. Why do we think gemstones work? Because they're radioactive, their frequency, their nature. That is something that we've been programmed out of. The frequency of nature is more powerful than human comprehension. So if you do not understand the power of gemstones and crystals and things that naturally come from the earth, you better go to school. You better go to school, because what they're creating in man's world right now is guaranteed to kill you. Guaranteed to kill you unless you know how to do the mineral balance on the other side, right? And it makes your food taste awesome, right? It makes your food taste absolutely awesome. Somebody asked about Celtic salt. So I'm not going to say that Celtic salt isn't something that you can't use. It doesn't have as high a mineral concentration as Himalayan salt. And that's the deal. You want more Himalayan salt than more minerals in your salt than not. Yeah. So you could do that comparison. I have never been failed by Himalayan salt. So real quick, I'll tell people the difference between Himalayan and Epsom salt. So lots of people old school know about the healing of Epsom salt. You want to know why? Epsom salt is high in magnesium. Magnesium is one of the 7 crucial minerals that the body needs. We're made of, 102, but there are 7 crucial ones. Magnesium is one of those. However, Himalayan salt has more minerals. So the two of them combined is super awesome. So those of you who like to use Epsom, change it to Himalayan salt and it'll blow your freaking mind. So instead of just the heaviness of magnesium, you have all these other minerals in that Himalayan salt too. Okay. Does Himalayan salt expire? Excellent question. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Now, unless you've got it, well, no, it doesn't. You can keep Himalayan salt for as long as you want. Now, what I do when I use it, like to put it on my body, then I will get rid of it, but you don't have to. You do not have to. Himalayan salt does not expire. That's the other thing. It doesn't expire, right? And it's amazing to use. So when we talk about minerals, so this is, remember, I want y'all to get in the habit of doing what I'm doing. If they say to you something stupid like Himalayan salt is radioactive, well, Google what radioactivity has to do with the body, right? It's just connect the dots, okay? So then I went in and I said, let's look at the minerals that the body needs and is made of. Okay. So the body is made of 102 minerals in its lymphatic water, but there are 7 that are crucial to you. And you can understand in some of the things that they've been telling you why you need to pay more attention to this. The major minerals, which are stored in large quantities in the body. Y'all listening? Calcium, chloride, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, and sulfur. Sodium and sulfur. These minerals are 7 of the most important for our lives. And guess what they're doing? They're spraying the sun, which blocks the sulfur, and they're telling you not to eat sodium. Jesus, that's a quarter of your life right there that they have now scared you out of logic and scared you with fear into telling you you can't eat because you don't understand how the body functions. And it's very easy to understand. You just have to ask the right questions. Who, what, when, why, how, and where. Okay? Those questions have to be answered in order for you to make sense out of what is happening to you. What uses do I recommend for Himalayan salt? Oh, hell. Listen, we can have a whole freaking show about that, right? We can have a whole show about that. But there are a gazillion ways to use Himalayan salt. So for those of you who have kids who have diagnosed asthma, and I say diagnosed because I don't believe in diseases like that. So you can take, if you have a child who has diagnosed asthma, you know what you could do 3 days a week? Take a handful of dry Himalayan salt, place that salt underneath your child's clavicle, in between the clavicle and down in the lungs. Let that child lay on their back for 5 minutes, 3 times a week. Asthma, gone. Gone, because the minerals in the salt stimulate and balance the minerals in our lymph water, which causes stagnant mucus to thin, creating an easy pathway of the lymph water to carry oxygen to the body. It's freaking logic. Okay. That's one. Oh, my dear Aiden, you are so freaking cute. So and these are things people can try at home, right? For people who have boils underneath your arm, you can take a handful of Himalayan salt and place the Himalayan salt under your arm, close your arm for like 5 minutes. And the minerals in the salt will cause the mucus that a boil is to move through the lymphs, right? Easy. People who have knee problems, you can lay your leg flat, take a handful of Himalayan salt, dry, fine Himalayan salt, place it on your knee and let that salt sit there for about 20 minutes, and your knee will feel like a new knee when you get up. This is mullein tea. Amazing. I'm going to go back to that in a second. I have Himalayan salt rocks, right? We use Himalayan salt stones. You could take a Himalayan salt stone and contour your face simply by using the salt in a contouring direction in your sinuses. I mean, that's inflammation in the neck. Take a Himalayan salt rock or a handful of salt, place it on that area. Vita hair growth. Good evening, love. So people ask about mullein leaf, mullein tea. Yes, absolutely. Another herb that dries up, that is mineral contented tea. It's an herb that is high in minerals that breaks down mucus in the body. But the reason it breaks down mucus in the body is because it balances the minerals in the lymph water. There is no oxygen flow, y'all, in the body without the lymph water moving. Water, H2O. Oxygen travels in that water, so you have to keep the lymph water moving. All right, so, look at that. I didn't even know somebody was going to ask about a boil. I love it. What's up, Vita hair growth? So I need you all to understand, that we are radioactive energy that is balanced by mineral salt water. And so you need to use things that balance out that pairing in order for you to not be sick, right? So when you hear them say, oh my God, radioactive, we are radioactive. We are superior energy beings, right? And part of that energy is the synapses in the brain. So I need you all not to give the power to them. I need you just to use that power that you have. So is mineral water better than alkaline water? Okay, so here's the conversation about water. And we're in such a crazy place in this world. The other day, I felt old as I don't know what, because there was what's the generation after millennial? I don't know, one of them. They were on the table, and the guy looked at his phone, and he was like, Camille, is this true? And I was like, is what true? IG, hold, please, 1 second. Chit Chat Radio. You know it's almost that time. I appreciate y'all all the time. Please join me again next Wednesday. And if you want to come into the conversation, which we're going to continue on IG, please do that as well. If not, I will see y'all next week. Make sure you keep using your logic so you can stay well. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week. Yes, thank you, Gen Z. So the Gen Z said, Camille, is this real? And he shows me his phone, and on his phone it says somebody had posted, did you know that water wasn't always bottled?